Hey guys, what's up? This is Dark Claw of Dark Claw's Domain here. It's time for another game collection video. This is going to be another one of those 2-in-1 videos because I don't have many games for either system. This is going to be on my PS4 and Xbox One collections. I don't have that many games for either system because I haven't had these systems for too long yet. But I do have more PS4 games than I do Xbox One games, at least in terms of physical stuff. I have about 10 or maybe 11, I'm not sure, PS4 games and about 5 Xbox One games. I prefer the PS4 over Xbox One, mostly because of the exclusive content, and also because a lot of the stuff on Xbox One that is on there that I enjoy, I could just easily get on PS4. Now, I will get some games I will get both versions of, but for the most part, it's exclusives right down the middle for me on the Xbox One. Anyways, let's get started. I'll start with the PS4 games first, and then I'll go for the Xbox One games. First game I have for the PS4 is Uncharted 4: Thief's End, which came with my PS4 Slim. I actually haven't played this yet, and the main reason is just because I haven't even finished the first game, which I really need to get around to. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. This game is just absolute garbage. One of the worst games I've ever played in the series. This one was like such a fall from grace. I mean, the Tony Hawk series basically just fell off a cliff once Ride and Shred came out because they were using such really boring and unresponsive skateboarding gimmicks, which is kind of stupid. Not to mention, when this came out, this was supposed to be what could have been the saving grace of the franchise, but instead it turned out to be a complete cash grab. And with a different company behind the mix, Robomoto, who they just absolutely didn't know what they were doing. There isn't very much content. It's extremely bare bones. The goals are not interesting at all. Everything feels much slower compared to previous entries. Not to mention the slam mechanic is completely useless. All it does is just get in the way of your skating or your combo and just interrupts your combo before you can even make it big. It's so bad. Definitely wouldn't recommend it. Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, this is a game that I know a lot of people hate, but I didn't think it was bad. But I didn't really think it was bad. I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, sure, it was rushed to market compared to the previous entries in the series, and it's not as good, that's for sure. But I still liked it for what it was, even if it was kind of problematic in areas. Killzone Shadowfall. I haven't even played this one yet either, just because I haven't finished Killzone 3. Crash Bandicoot, the N.Sane Trilogy. This game is really good, actually. I played the hell out of this one. I have finished Crash 1 on here. I haven't finished Crash 2 yet, but I've gotten very close. And I have played Warped on here, but I've also played the PS1 game as well, and I really loved it. Warped is the best one in the series by far, but I friggin' love all three games. They're great. They're really good. They're really well represented here. The PS1 version of Crash Bandicoot 1, though, has definitely not aged very well, and there's just no point in going back to that one anymore, with Crash Bandicoot 1 on the N.Sane Trilogy being a much more competent experience and just being more precise with the controls, feeling a lot smoother and tighter play. But great games though, and I hope to finish Crash 2 very soon because I want to get into Crash Warped. Especially considering Crash Warped is easily my favorite in the trilogy before I even got this game, and I want to see how much has changed, and how much, or at least how much has improved. But yeah, it's great stuff, and I'm glad Vicarious Visions managed this game because this company actually does have some experience with the Crash games. That most of the stuff was on the Game Boy Advance, but they did a pretty good job on that one. So yeah, good stuff. Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1 and Legacy Collection 2. This is actually a very recent addition to my collection. I actually got this last week, and I'm pretty happy with it. It contains all the Mega Man X games from 1 through 8. The only one it doesn't have is Mega Man X Command Mission, but that's more of a spin-off game than anything. It's just it is a freaking, it's just all for the main series games. But it's great, though. And, both collections are on 2 discs. The first disc is actually in my PS4 right now as I was playing it last night. And this is the second disc, which contains 5 through 8. Would this be considered 2 discs? I mean, 2 games, or is it just one? Or would I just count it as one singular game? I'm not sure. This is where I start getting a little confused, because, I mean, sure, I mean, I don't even know if I would consider them the same, in all the same game, because, I mean, yeah, it kind of looks as if they are 2 different, packages, but I can't say for sure, because, I mean, they are after all they're both a part of the same collection, they just have different games. But, I don't know, what do you guys think? Leave a comment below and tell me if, if I should just consider this as one game, or if it's 2 because they're on separate, because Legacy Collection 1 and 2 are on separate discs. They're just in different packages. I don't really know. Just leave a comment below. Anyways, I actually really like this collection a lot, because I had initially wanted the X Collection on PlayStation 2, but then after I heard this was coming out, I decided to just get this one instead. And, I was just really excited that it had all the, mainline X games, not to mention some extra content, which is pretty sweet. And, I'm happy to say that, the games all play really well on here, especially the last 2 games, Mega Man X7 and X8 on PlayStation 2, which they run very, very smoothly, and it's just great. The emulation of most of these games, the emulation on all these games is pretty good. Although there are some minor hiccups here and there, like, I know in Mega Man X it does have occasional screen tearing every now and then, but it's not a deal breaker, it's just a bit distracting. Also, the filters are not great. There's just only 3 to choose from, and they don't really show the best picture quality, but again, not a deal breaker. The games are still relatively fun to play, even if the filter or options are not great, but still, good stuff, really good stuff. I enjoy this collection a lot. What I'm actually trying to do is actually work my way up in the series. Start with the first game and just go from there, because I wanted to get into the entire Mega Man X collection, as I prefer the X collection over the classic collection, because I like the more darker tones to it. And it has and I like the story much more, especially with Sigma being the boss instead of Dr. Wily, which, admittedly, Dr. Wily just sounds too... in Dr. Wily's stories, it just sounds a little childish in places, but either way, I love the Mega Man series, but I prefer X over the original Mega Man series. Next game I have is Monster Hunter World. I'm so sorry I talked about the X collections too long. But Monster Hunter World, this game is awesome. I actually played this one quite a bit compared to the previous Monster Hunter games. Without question, my favorite game in the series. I actually was hoping this would be the game that brought me back into the series, and lo and behold, this actually was, because this game turned out to be a lot of fun for me, and I really enjoyed it for a lot of the stuff it improved upon the previous entries. The game's a lot more expansive and a lot more bigger, so now you don't have to worry about being disrupted by loading times every time you go into a new zone, because they're all connected with one another, which is great. The combat's more fluid, a lot more smoother. There's lots of weapons to choose from. There's actually voice acting for once, which they should have done years ago, but now they did it, and it's great, except it doesn't really match with the character's mouth movements, which is a little weird to see, but the voice acting itself is decent, though. And, also, fighting monsters is a lot more exciting now than it ever has been before, and it's pretty solid stuff. Great game, so much fun to play. If you haven't played Monster Hunter, this is a great starting point. Shadow of Mordor. This is a great game. I sadly do not have Shadow of War yet, but I'll get it eventually. But Shadow of Mordor is a really solid action RPG. with some stealth mechanics added to it. It kind of reminds me of Assassin's Creed, but mixes it with the Batman Arkham games, which is pretty sweet. As I think the Arkham games are fun. Assassin's Creed was really fun up until Unity came out and I stopped caring for the series so much. But Shadow of Mordor, though, is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the combat. I did like the stealth sections. I like the Nemesis system quite a lot. It is really fun. And the overall story is pretty solid, too. Really good game. I highly recommend checking it out. Doom. I love this game. This is one of my all-time favorite shooters on the PS4, if not one of my favorite shooters right now. I love this game. I love the Doom series. Doom is without question my favorite FPS franchise, next to BioShock and Borderlands. These are my top 3 favorite shooters. I also really like Overwatch a lot as well, but that's beside the point. Anyways, Doom is just a series I've grown up with, and I've just played the absolute shit out of them over time. Still love them to this day. They're great games. Even Doom 3, which may not be as good as Doom 1 or 2, but I still freaking loved it. But Doom 2016 was a fantastic return to form for the series. It kept things simple while including a bunch, and stayed true to its roots while also keeping up with the times with its more modern take on the series, and I think it did it to its advantage. I think it works really well here. The glory kill system is epic. The combat's epic. The music is epic. My god, the music is amazing. And the freaking arcade mode, great stuff. And also the multiplayer is really fun too. The only problem I have with it is that the multiplayer is kind of desolate because there doesn't seem to be a lot of people playing the multiplayer here. But that's alright. There's a lot of single-player content to go around, which is neat. I absolutely love this game. Highly recommend checking it out. It's really cheap. Well, not too cheap. It's really affordable, too. I got this for like $20, so that's good stuff. And last game out for the PS4 is Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator. This is an awesome game. One of my favorite fighting games of this generation. Maybe my favorite. I don't know, but I love this game. I have played the shit out of this more times than I can count. It's really fun to play. The combat is a lot of fun. This is actually more beginner-friendly than the rest of the games are. I mean, it's not an easy game by any means, don't get me wrong, but it's easier for beginners to get into than it was for the predecessors. Not to mention, it allows for 2 different types of styles. The stylish one, which allows you to perform moves simply in a more simplistic manner, which is great for beginners, and then the technical one, which is more for Guilty Gear veterans. I use the technical more because while I'm not what I consider a Guilty Gear veteran, I have played the series and I really do dig the complex system that is within the game, so I had no issue getting into it, especially since I'm very familiar with Persona 4 Arena, which is one of my favorite games by Arc System Works. I also really like BlazBlue, so yeah. Not to mention what I love about the Guilty Gear series is the soundtrack. Heavy metal and rock in the soundtrack. Oh my god, you can't get any better than that. It's just good stuff. I friggin' love this game. From the animations, the character development, the fighting style, the fighting mechanics, the music. It's just all good stuff. Without question, one of my favorite games on the PS4. Now for the Xbox One games, which I don't have very many of at all. This is one of the first games I got for the system, which is Gears of War Ultimate and Rare Replay. Got this for $10, which I thought was a pretty solid deal. Gears of War Ultimate is basically just a remastered version of the original Gears of War that was on the 360, and it still looks really good. I actually prefer playing this over the original. The original version has not aged very well, but Gears of War 2 and 3 have aged very well, though. And Rare Replay, this one contains like a ton of great games. Stuff like Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Perfect Dark, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Battletoads, Grabbed by the Ghoulies, cameo elements of Power Blast Corps, Killer Instinct, Cobra Triangle, Battletoads Arcade. It also contains RC Pro-Am 1 and 2, which is pretty good stuff. And it's just an overall great compilation of amazing games. Sadly, Donkey Kong Country is not in this game, which is a bummer, but I understand why it's not in there, though. I mean, licensing issues, so they couldn't put that in there. There was no way, but still, friggin' love this game. It was a lot of fun to play, especially being able to play some of the classics that I never got to experience when I was younger. Titanfall. This game is awesome. I actually really enjoyed playing this one. For those of you that don't know what it is, it's Titanfall is a first-person shooter where you have like two styles of play. You can either go on foot or you can pilot a mech, which is actually a really well-utilized feature here. It's developed by some of the same guys that worked on Black Ops 3, which is pretty sweet, and it plays really well. The Titan mechanics are a lot of fun. The on-foot mechanics are a lot of fun. Not to mention you also got the wall run mechanic, which is pretty sweet. It's just a great stuff. I enjoyed this game a lot, and it's one of my favorite games on the one. One of my favorite online shooters for sure. Gears of War 4. The reason I got an Xbox One in the first place. Gears is a series I've always tried to get into, but because I never had an Xbox system before the one or the original Xbox, I never could play those games, and it wasn't until I got my Xbox One I was finally able to play my own copies. I did play the Gears games at friends' houses, but I didn't get my own games until I got an Xbox One, thanks to my brother. But Gears of War 4, I really enjoyed, though not my favorite game in the series. My favorite one will always be... My favorite one is number 2. But 4 I still really enjoyed, although I do think the Coalition kind of overdid it with the updates. They kind of updated the game a little too damn much, and it's kind of to the point where some gameplay elements just feel completely different from one another and not for the better. And the last game I have is Dead Rising 3, which I actually ordered off of Amazon, and my voice is starting to crack. I loved Dead Rising 2. That was one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 3. And considering Dead Rising 3 is only exclusive to Xbox One or PC, considering I'm not really a PC gamer very much, I decided to get the Xbox One version. And it is a great game. I really liked it. I still like Dead Rising 2 just a bit more, but I do like Dead Rising 3's gameplay a little bit better. It does feel more smooth and precise. I like the tone. I do like the vehicle. I do like that you're able to drive vehicles a lot more here. I mean, you could do that in the second game, but driving vehicles is a lot more fun in this game. Not to mention, there's a lot of improvements that was made from the second game, and although I do prefer the second game, the third one still has a lot of great improvements, and it's just really good stuff. Alright, so that's my PS4 and Xbox One collections. I don't have too many games for these just because I haven't had these systems for that long. I've had my PS4 for about almost a year now. It'll be a year in October 3rd. And I've had my Xbox One for only about 2 months, I believe. Yeah, about 2 months. I've had it since June 18th. Or June 14th. I'm not... yeah, it was June 14th that I got the system. But I do like them both. I just prefer the PS4 a bit more than the Xbox One, but I still think the Xbox One is a great system nonetheless. Maybe I'll do another part of this video where I'll show the digital games I got, because I do have more than just the physical stuff. I do prefer getting physical copies because it makes me feel like I actually own the game, not to mention you can actually preserve them for a very long time, whereas digital games, if you delete them, and the rights and it gets missing off the store, then you'll no longer be able to get them back, which I don't like that idea at all. But, yeah, I do have some digital stuff as well, and I'll show you those at a later date. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my video, and thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Take care.